In this video, I am focusing on a shadow aspect, which people don't want to look at the shadow aspects of ourselves, but I think that this one is a really important one because I think a lot of people consciously or even subconsciously, unknowingly, find themselves engaging in this activity, and the activity is gossip. And gossiping overall is low vibration energy. It keeps us out of alignment with ourselves, and it creates separation and mistrust in our personal relationships. So I thought that this was a really important piece to cover. Welcome to the Heal Your Loved Wounds podcast. I am your host, Iris Siriani. In this episode, I want to talk about how gossiping hurts us. It hurts us by keeping us out of integrity. It hurts us by creating separation and a mistrust in our personal relationships, and overall lowers your vibration. And I did really want to talk about gossip today because I think it's something that a lot of people do, and here it is. It's no judgment or anything like that against anybody. Gossip is one of those things that is very easy to lean into or get caught up into, because if we're not talking about other people, then what do we talk about? And we have become so accustomed to talking about other things and other people and offering our opinions and our different perspectives on it. And we don't really realize that there is another way. There are other things to talk about other than other people, but it's really easy to get on the gossiping bandwagon and start talking about other people, especially when we don't have anything going on in our own lives, and especially as a way of using it to deflect or not have to sit with ourselves and do the work on ourselves. So let's talk about how gossiping keeps you out of your integrity. The first thing that comes to mind is that when we talk about other people, you can kind of split it into two different sections. The first section that really does have a lot to do with it being in integrity with yourself is really the part of you that when someone shares personal information about themselves or shares with you that they're going through something and they just want to have a conversation with a trusted friend or a family member about something that they're going through, there is an implied keep it to yourself, because that person is putting their faith in you that you are going to keep their secret safe with you and that you're not going to share it with another person. And when you then go on to share it with another person, you're breaking the bond between you and that other person that shared that information with you. Whether or not that information or that other person ever finds out that you talk to somebody else about what they had confided in you or not, there's something higher up, a higher source that just knows, and you know inherently within your own self that you're breaking the trust, you're breaking the bond with that person, and it may be completely harmless and there may be no ill intent whatsoever in sharing that information with somebody else. And yet, if you were to tap into your own self, you would see that that's not a story to be shared. If that other person wanted, the person you're sharing this information with, wanted them to know, they would have shared that information. And oftentimes this happens just in in general conversation, and we seem to sometimes even be drawn into it somehow. So for this part here, the being in integrity really is taking a moment to ask yourself, should I really be sharing this information, and just tuning into it. And almost all the time, it's going to be, the answer is going to be no, and we know that the answer is going to be no, unless that person that has confided in us explicitly says it's okay if you share that information with this particular person. Then that's something completely different. The other thing about that situation is that usually when we are gossiping about somebody else, or sharing our opinions about the actions or inactions of another person, or how somebody might be handling a certain situation in their own personal life, and we're not even, let's say, being confided in, but we're getting secondhand information about what this person is doing in their personal life, it's very easy for us to judge that situation. And what happens in this case is that it creates an energy of judgment. It creates an energy of, I know what would be a better solution for that person. They should be handling it this way. They shouldn't be doing this. They need to be doing that. Oh, why aren't they doing that? I would never do that. There's that energy of a lot of really harsh judgments, when in fact, we may never have gone through that experience, so have no way to offer anything by way of personal experiences that might be helpful to the other person if they were to ask us. But again, it wouldn't be something about being judged. Oh, you should do it this way, or you need to do this. It could be, I went through a similar thing and this was my experience, and let the other person decide whether or not that is going to be something that they want to add into a solution, a possible solution to what they're going through. When we start talking about other people and information that we get third hand, like secondhand gossip, so to speak, it's very easy for us to start to judge the person and to impose our beliefs or our opinions about what that person should be doing and how they're wrong by doing that, and that our solution would be a much better solution. And the problem with that is that what might be right for us may not be a solution, and it's not for us to judge what somebody else should do. We don't live inside their life experiences. We don't live inside their mind. We have no idea what their thought process is, because we're also not sitting with that person in confidence and hearing their story and listening to their story without judgment and without criticism. We're basically assuming and jumping to conclusions that how they're dealing with the situation or the choices that they're making are wrong. And so that creates an energy that really is low vibration energy, and it invites a lot of drama and chaos into your life for the sake of needing something activating or something exciting to talk about. So that's the overall energy and how it keeps us out of our own integrity, and it really stops us from evolving on our own path, because we have to learn to stay in our lane. We're all on our own journey and all on our own path. Now, the other thing I said at the beginning of the video was that it creates separation and it creates mistrust in personal relationships. And so you can imagine if you were to confide something in me and I were to go on and tell somebody else about what you had confided in me, If I went on to tell other people about what you had confided in me and that got back to you, you would not be so willing to open up and be vulnerable with me because I've already proven by that one experience that I am not trustworthy with your personal pain and your personal story. So what in essence would happen is you would keep a distance from me and you wouldn't be so open and you wouldn't be so vulnerable because you wouldn't be able to trust that what you tell me is going to stay with me. And that is how we break the boundaries and break down our friendships and our personal relationships, by doing this and even seemingly harmless transference of information. It doesn't even have to be gossip. It could be a transference of information that somebody else didn't need to know about. This is part of the shadow side of our work, and it's uncomfortable to look at the shadow part of our work, but every time we have something that is ringing true for us, if you find that this sharing of information that shouldn't be shared, or just outright gossiping, if that's triggering you in some way, this conversation that we're having is triggering you some way, there is no judgment and there is absolutely no shame. There is just awareness of, is this who I really want to be? Is this the experience that I want to have? Or can I catch myself in those moments wanting to share information that's been shared with me, or even being put in a situation where other people are gossiping and you're noticing it, but you feel yourself being drawn into it. This is more of an awareness piece. It's noticing that about yourself and then catching yourself and reiterating to yourself that you're not that person that engages in this type of conversation. And you can either steer the conversation in a different direction, and some people will steer it right back into that line of conversation where it is all about other people and what they're doing wrong and how they're behaving. Or you can outright use your voice and say, I would rather not talk about those people. Let's talk about something else. And that'll either cut the conversation short, or if they steer the conversation back into the same direction, then you always have the option to just see ya. I don't want to be part of that conversation. There are very kind ways to manage the exit point. If you are the one that is learning not to gossip, this one's a little bit trickier, because a lot of times when we gossip, it's just something that is part of how we interact with people. And again, no judgment. This is just shadow work that we're doing. So for that, if this is something that you would like to work on and change, a large part of it has to do with being in integrity and venturing out into having new experiences. So if this is an experience that you're trying to no longer be a part of who you are becoming and where you're going on your path, then just notice why it's always easier to talk about other people's experiences and what they're going through, and ask yourself why you engage. Maybe you don't like to do it, but you don't know how to stop it. It's just an awareness, and there is always work on our healing journey. There is always work to be done as we ascend to higher levels of consciousness, and we are in the process of doing that shadow work and letting go of who we used to be, and raising our vibration, raising our awareness, and in a desire, at least this was true for me, to be more in integrity with myself and align to a higher path. I hope that you found this video helpful. I hope you found some little nuggets and information in here. Leave a comment below. Let me know what resonated and any intentions that you have for the new moon in Sagittarius. And until the next video, I am sending you so much love. Take care.